Okay, so I think I have a really good hockey setup. I'm kind of like a new player, but I spent a lot of time on hotkeys. I think I've got a great setup. So I'm gonna go over it real quick. The most is what it is kind of revolves around is you have focus on. Let me show you real quick. View your map controls. Focus on selected units on an easy to press hotkey. For me, it's space, and I put it on control space because I use control a lot. And if you're doing things fast, it won't register because you're holding control accidentally. So I put it on both. So I recommend something like that. And I'll talk about. I still have the default. By default, space focuses on last event. I still have that bound. I'll talk about it in a little bit. So the nice thing about having focus on selected, it says focus on selected units, but it focuses on buildings too. Is you can select your buildings with your building hotkey. So I selected my stables right now. Hit space and focus on them, for instance. You might not always, and a lot of times you don't want to focus on them, so that's why you have the option to just select them, produce some stuff. But sometimes you want to go back to base, whatever. Select your, scout hotkey, and hit space, or you just select your scout. You can do it real fast. You're doing something over here, scout, space, you're over here. Religious unit, hit my religious hotkey, cycle through these guys. I hit space every time. But a lot of times, or sometimes you don't want to focus on them, so it's super nice. So then I have my focus on recent event hotkey on Capslock, and this actually registers as Capslock for me. And if you want to know how to do this, it makes it so you don't accidentally like chat, and it doesn't turn your letters on Capslock. Nice little script with AutoHotkey. I'll go over how to do this at the end of the video for those that are interested. So this actually goes to Capslock, and that's just easy to press again. And if you don't know what this hotkey does, it is if you're get attacked, the horn goes off, the red ping goes off, you can hit Capslock and it'll go to that, which is super important because you're in a game. You want to instantly go to where your army's getting attacked or whatever it is. There's a wolf around here somewhere. I was trying to. We'll see if I can aggro him. Okay. So then for building hotkeys, I set. Oh, there it is. So hit caps goes right to the notification. Okay. So for building hotkeys, I really recommend to use the building selections in here. So what I do is let's go back to the game. I use the function keys, and it's nice because you can select the function keys like pretty quickly, even the ones that are far away, since you can they have the gaps between them. It's a lot easier than selecting like the number row, which I use for control groups. Which is pretty much everyone uses for control groups. So I really like the function keys for buildings. So I have F1 on select all town centers, and then I have it so let's see. Let's go to this setting real quick. Where is it? This is on select only, because I use space to focus. So you definitely want this on select only. Then you have the option to focus or not. So anyways, so F1 select all TCs. F2 is my barracks, 3 is archery, and 4 is stables. So I can just tapping through hitting F on these or the function keys on these, and then I can hit space to focus on them. F5 is siege, F6 is religious buildings, and then so that's like all the military production. I'll talk about the mercenary camps and stuff too. I have those bound too, but so F7 is your eco buildings, and maybe people don't use that hotkey a lot, but it's super nice because you can make sure you don't forget about any text. You can hit F7 and then tab through, and then F8 is your technology buildings, which is same thing. When things get hectic, you always forget, or I always forget. Did I miss this tech? Did I not? And I see people look on their mini map. Where's my barracks? Where's my barracks? So yeah, it's super nice to use the economy buildings and technology buildings hotkeys. Then also, so like you might think, well, how do I bind? I'm kind of running out of room. How do I bind the mercenary houses, for instance, or the military camps for Ottomans? So I just use Shift in my barracks key. So I have F2 for barracks, Shift F2 for the mercenary camp. And then same thing for docks too. So I have F1 on select all TCs, and then I didn't pick a water map, but if I had a dock, Shift F1 would be select all docks. And then the other Shift button I have is Shift F7. So F7 is the eco buildings, but sometimes you want to train traders real quick, or you want to do this real quick. So I also have Shift F7 on select market, and here's space to focus on it. So that's nice to have. And then I also didn't mention, I do use a different hotkey, H, for cycle through. I don't really use Control F1, but H will cycle through town centers. Because, yeah, you definitely, sometimes you need to manage each one. So F1 is select all, so you can queue a bunch of vills, with F1. And then if you need to, go to each one, H space, H space, H space, you can cycle and focus, and then, select where they go. And I'll talk about keeps and landmarks and outposts real quick. I think it's great to have a keep hotkey. So I have K on cycle keeps. So this is cycling them, and then if I want to focus on each one, K space. And that way you can also I lose track of where I build keeps and stuff. So this is super nice. Do I have upgrades? So I want to build upgrades. If it's late game, I have Shift K for all my keeps, and I could queue an upgrade on all the keeps, which is nice sometimes. And then outposts, I have on O. Same thing. Shift O, all outpost. And then I also have landmarks. L will cycle through the landmarks. There's some civs where it's you need to, where's my golden horn? Where's my whatever? I don't play Byzantine much, but where's this landmark? Where's that? You can focus on each one. And Shift L will select all, and you can tab through them. Like if you're playing Japan and you want to get to your gunsmith and stuff like that. So let's see. And then J, I pick a key. For me, it's J. To do Civ-specific stuff, and that way you can use the same key so you won't run out of room. For instance, cisterns are only for Byzantine, of course, so I have J cycle through cistern, and Shift J is select all. So if you're in a panic moment, select all. Oh, I only care about production, but most of the time you want to manage them, of course. You can cycle through them like that. So I also have J on for other civs. For instance, China, I have it on Imperial Officials, so I can cycle through the Imperial Officials, manage them that way. And it saves a hotkey, since you'll never have an Imperial Official as Byzantine, right? So I also use it for Mongols, for the Gurs and the Ovu, and I use it for Jeanne d'Arc or the Hero. So anything Civ specific you can put on there. So we'll keep looking here at the building hotkeys. Building selection. So yeah, here's select all landmarks, for instance. I'm not going to go over these one by one, but you can just kind of see. I don't use these, so I didn't mention, but you can do a cycle through if you really want to. And these tell you for J that there's conflicts, and of course there's not, because I set them all to Civ-specific stuff. Military schools and military camps are on Shift F2. And yeah, don't worry about the Control Shift. I don't end up using that, but it's to cycle through them if you really want to. And here's the F1 through F6. And let's see, there's Outpost and yeah, military schools, mercenary houses, select all cisterns. So that's the kind of stuff you can do with building hotkeys. So unit hotkeys, there's a lot for units that is really handy. So first of all, I think this is on by default, I'm not sure, but there are hotkeys for selecting villagers that are working a certain resource. So for instance, if you're in a fight up here, microing a bunch of stuff, you say you want to select a wood villager and build a couple houses. Control W, oh yeah, I should go over the hotkeys. Control W is wood villager, Control S is stone, Control G is gold, and Control F is food. And I think those are by default. obviously, you know, S stands for stone, G stands for gold, etc. So if you're in a fight, you select a wood villager and build a couple houses. So for me, I would press Control W and then space to focus on them. So Control W, space, you can do it real fast. And then, you know, build a couple houses, back to your micro in your fight. Super nice. Gold villager. I don't have any villagers working gold. Food villager. I should put some on gold. But yeah, it's they ran out of gold. So yeah, that's super nice to use those. And then you have your idle vills, which you can click on this thing, but obviously we don't want to click if we're doing hotkeys. So I have Control V. I think that's default also, but Control V will cycle through. And I should probably change it so the camera doesn't focus since I have space to focus. But I pretty much never want to select an idle vill without seeing what they're doing. So yeah, Control V and then Control Shift V. I have set to select all idle vills, which I try to avoid using because it grabs idle vills from the whole map. But every once in a while, you know, you got to do it. So, and I have the same thing for military is on C instead of V, so it's Control C. I never use this hotkey, but it cycles through idle military. But the one you might use every once in a while is Control Shift C. I have on select all idle military. You know, try not to use it because it's a bit unorganized, but if you have to, you have to. And then I have the same thing for naval. D is on naval, so Control D would cycle through idle naval, and Control Shift D select all idle naval. And then the other ones that are really useful is your cycle through scout hotkey. So for me, it's Control Z. So I can hit Control Z, I got my scout, or I can hit, most of the time you want to focus on it, so Control Z, space. And, you know, even on Roos, like on Roos, I control group the scouts, but it's sometimes you get a little lost, or later you don't want to use control groups on your scouts because it's later in the game. So you can cycle through them, find out where they are. In religious units is Control X, right next to Z, and that's super nice to cycle through your religious units. Otherwise, you can lose track of them, or you have to use control groups, but eventually you run out of control groups. So I really like those hotkeys. The two more things. One thing that's really nice to do is move your. I move my 0 control group to the tilde key, which is right next to the left of 1. And that just gives you another control group that you can actually reach with your hand. Because I can only reach like 5, 6. Beyond that, I'm not. You know, it takes a bit to find the right key. So I pretty much just use up to 5 or maybe 6. So get an extra one on 0 or on your tilde key is nice. So you can switch that over to 0. And then the last thing I really like is having the hotkeys bound to cancel queue. So if you have a whole queue, I have it bound to N. I think N for like no, you know. And so you hit N and it cancels the last one. And something that's super nice is Control N cancels the whole queue. And let's find okay, let's do it with some archers here. So if you have a queue, and let's say this is nice, it's late game, you're at 200 pop, and you just age up, let's say, and you need to do research. And rather than clicking cancel, 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 hit Control N, put your research, and then you can queue up again. So I find that really handy. And that's pretty much it. You can look through these. I should probably put this on. I could think about putting it on select only, but I pretty much always want to focus on idle villager. But for this, with my setup where you use the focus hotkey, you definitely want this on select only. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to go over how to use a program called AutoHotkey to make it so your caps lock won't turn on your caps letters. And it will only affect when you're in games that you tell it to. So, you know, you can go back to Windows and your internet browser and whatever and use caps like normally. So it's really nice for a lot of games. And so what you can do is you have to install AutoHotkey, and then you can go into a folder and do new AutoHotkey script, and you can call it, I called mine caps lock disable. So call it whatever you want. And if you go to edit script, it puts the stuff at the beginning. That's fine. And then you're going to just add. I'll show you mine. We actually just close this one. Add this, which I'll put in the description, and so you need GroupAdd. Just makes like a group of Windows names, and then you can call it whatever you want. I called it because I put mine to the colon key. This is just descriptive. You can call it, whatever, just as long as you use the same name, and then put the name of the window. So to get this name, you can, mouse over. See Age of Empires space capital I capital V. It has to get that exactly. You can use the task manager to find the name of the window too. So like this game called Squad, the window's called the Squad game. So just make sure you use the actual name of the window. So GroupAdd, your group name, and then whatever games you want to add. And then you add this part. So if these windows are active, to be honest, I don't totally understand this. I got it from somewhere else. So AHK group is something that makes a group or something like that. And then caps lock, you write caps lock and then 2 colons and then the key that you want. So for me, it's that semicolon key. But if you wanted to put it on like the L key or the P key or the backslash or / key. So I use semicolon because that doesn't seem to be used by games a whole lot. So it works pretty well. So now when you have the script running, if you hit caps lock, it'll register as semicolon. So let's see. Make sure you just run the script and it'll run down in your tray. And additionally, if you want it to just start on its own when you start your computer, is what you can do is, I can delete my temp one here. Create a shortcut. Control X to cut it. And then up here you can go to shell startup. Yeah, shell startup. And you just paste the shortcut here. I have one already. And any shortcut here will get launched when you start your computer. And I can even show you real quick in Age of Empires. Controls, view and remap. So I've got the script running. So if I hit caps lock, it'll register a semicolon, like I said. And as soon as I tab back to Windows, I tab back to Firefox or Chrome or whatever, then caps lock will work like normal again. And when I tab back to a game that I listed on that script, it will register to a semicolon. And I have it here in case I forget to have the script running for some reason. So yeah, hope that is helpful.